The show I'm about to react to today does not really need an introduction. Squid Game was one of those shows that I binged in one go, transforming me into a TV zombie in the process. Me and hundreds of millions of viewers loved it because it broke every convention. A brutal storyline, bold conceptual sets, an oppressively minimalist, polished world, and I was hooked. What really captured me as an architect was the functional and inspired aesthetic of the constructed sets. Obviously, these are not interiors I would build for my clients. They're interiors that took me back to my architecture school days where we created metaphors behind our designs. The imaginary set of spaces in Squid Game pushed the boundaries of what set decor and interior architecture can achieve. Pushing boundaries and breaking convention paves the path for more creativity. From the vibrancy of the contrasting colors to the repetitive display of the interior elements, the show creates a sense of discomfort to tell a story about greed and the tricky inconsistencies of human nature. These big dramatic themes definitely required big dramatic environments to be explored in full. Let's kick off with some of the game sets. The power behind these sets is found in the opposing contrast they bring to the story. Usually, TV shows and movies create a sense of fear and panic by using dark palettes and a bare atmosphere. In Squid Game, the use of primary colors and childhood-inspired challenges intensifies the sense of panic through a severe contrast between the set's aesthetics and the narrative. This is also metaphorical of the concept of the show, where innocent childhood games leads to merciless, cold-blooded killings. So much inspiration for my next design. Jokes aside, I'm so fascinated by the impact those clashing architectural environments have on the viewers. Example 1. The playground of the needle and the four shapes. The blue clouds, the primary colors, the cute little slides and the monkey bars look harmless enough, but I'm already freaking out. Blanket over my head. Even the cat stitched me because the showrunners have subtly told us that the cuter the set looks, the more brutally the scene is going to play out. This intentional use of color goes against what is known as the color theory and reprograms our perception to anticipate the worst where we'd usually expect cheer and joy. In the color conversation, let's talk fashion. The showrunners have made sure that each of the sets contrasted with the character's original urban green tracksuit, which also stood out against the bright red of the bad guys' overalls. These opposing forces and colors probably drew inspiration from the red light, green light challenge. We totally see this contrast within the dystopian bunk beds areas, the outdoors ground, and the stark minimalist whiteness of the waiting lounge. Other than their ability to use color for contradiction, I was blown away by the show's interior design team, who truly dug out and used a variety of inspirations that reference the history and theory of architecture. The impact of these intentional inspirations created a world by relying on stories that were told before without most of the viewers' knowledge of these references. Example 2, and my favorite one. The bunk beds, warehouse-like space, which reminded me of two things. The first was the Roman Colosseum, which was a place where society would meet to watch people murder each other, to watch slaves be used for entertainment, or just to watch justice unfold. In the same way, this is what happens in that bunk area, where everybody is judged and stacked up for the crime of greed. Besides giving me an anxiety attack with those repetitive white neon tubes against the pattern of white tiles on the sickly green walls, the bunk beds secondly reminded me of the way modern society is organized. The set designers have designed an incredible metallic structure to represent how the masses are stacked and how climbing the ladder to the top means stepping on others. It's very in your face, you can't really ignore it. Example number 3. That fascinating, never-ending maze-like staircase that looks like it came straight out of a haunted Barbie doll house. If you follow us on our socials and have seen our projects, you'll know that I'm personally obsessed with staircases. That Squid Game set was inspired by the mid-20th century of M.C. Escher, a Dutch mathematician turned artist who created conceptual art about infinity. That set evokes a sense of never-ending doom and references the idea that these people are lost with no way out. Those staircases also reference the 18th century architect Giovanni Piranesi, who designed a set of claustrophobic, maze-like prisons that recalled hell basically. Finally, let's not skip over the insane reference to the infamous Rothschild Surrealist Ball hosted in 1972. In Squid Game, the scene when the investors visit to watch the final games in the competition weirdly resembles that wild masquerade ball. That VIP lounge featured decadent and lavish interiors, anthropomorphic features, lush golden details, opulent red floors with boudoir-like chandelier, and a focus on animal prints and patterns. Across it all, the social message is found in the little details and the visual references. This is a reflection on how interior design can also propose an intellectual and social message, rather than a simple ambient visual reference. All in all, this show was really powerful to me because till now I can't get the details of the sets out of my head. From its great performances to the shocking violence to the unconventional sets, it had a cohesive and consistent message that it reflected in every aspect and element of its design. The depth of the detail and the level of intellectual inspirations behind the sets built for the show could have me talking about it for hours. But I will stop here for now and patiently wait for season 2 for another Nina Zombie weekend. In the meantime, I will try to get that catchy tune out of my head and discover another show with interiors that fascinate me. See you in another episode of Nina Reacts.